Mario, buenas
Jorge,
noches.
buenas noches.
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, ¿y usted?
También, gracias a Dios. No me puedo quejar.
That's good.
Y si me quejo, no sería bueno.
Igual no sirve para nada quejarse.
Sí.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Walter.
How are you?
Oh, señor Walter,
We are good. We were just anticipating your presence.
My presents.
Yes.
What presents would you like? I can send you something.
No, don't have to send us anything. Just your company will be great.
Mario, where's the fearless leader?
I don't know.
Okay.
Walter, you're not showing your face tonight?
Yeah, because I'm sitting outside
Oh,
having a nice cigar.
enjoy. Nothing goes better with Gemara than a fine cigar.
Okay, that's our fearless leader. I have to behave now.
You don't have to, it's okay.
Ernie, how are you?
Hi. I gave regards to Alon for you, Walter.
Walter, you can't, we can hear you.
Said
We-
I was there, Ernie. I was there for 2 hours. So after golf, I went there.
I went there at 3:30.
Okay, good. I'm sure he was very happy. A lot of people there.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks fantastic.
It looked good.
Yeah, that's very sad for him. Just so sad. Lady was a special lady. Anyway,
Okay,
now,
we're
the whole area, the Eruv in the valley, she built it, paid for it, did everything. They wouldn't have an Eruv in the valley without her.
That's terrific.
Amazing what she did. Okay,
Okay, Peches. So we're dealing with the sugya of Zaken Mamre. The Zaken Mamre was a rabbi who had smicha, who went against the psak of the Sanhedrin. And in certain situations, he was put to death for it. And we're going through an analysis of the various cases, all the various cases where if he would go like one opinion versus another opinion, it can lead to kores, because the normative opinion in the Mishnah was only if he ruled on something that has to do with kores, and he's going against the normative opinion, then he's put to death. If it's a non-kores thing, then it doesn't lead to capital punishment. And we mentioned tsaras, questions of tsaras that affect the garments, because tsaras can affect the human being, it can affect your house, it can affect your garments. And we don't really know what these things are today, but we know what a blemish in a human being is. You know, they have a skin rash, a certain lesion. Well, you know, maybe the house, maybe that's mold. You know, you look at a house and there's certain abnormalities in the walls. And the same thing existed by garments. Now, lepricha bivgodim shitor. Now, if the whole garment was full of a nega, the din is it becomes tohar. It's similar to if a human being, if his whole body is covered with negoim, he's also tohar. Nemra karachas v'gabachas ba'adam, nemra karachas v'gabas b'vgodim. Mala halan parch b'kula tohar, just like a human being. If there are lesions in his whole body and he's tohar, afkan, by garments, parch b'kula tohar. Mishnah said, divrei, elu arochin chremin v'egdoshos. When a person wanted to donate something to the Beis HaMikdash, he could say, erech, the value of such and such person, alai. And the Torah gives like a barber shop menu. For a haircut, $5. For this, $10. Same thing in the Chumash. It says if you're, a male between 30 and 50, you're worth 50 shkolim. If you're a female, you're worth 40 shkolim. So that's erech. Chramim, when a person says, I want to be machrim all of my assets, he basically gives his assets to the Beis HaMikdash. Hegdeshos, that's any kind of hegdesh. When you say, Harei zu shlomim, this animal should be a shlomim, that's hegdeshos. Now, what machlokes can the Zaken Mamre get involved in where it would lead to koris? Ha'erchin is beplukted Rav Meir Rabbanan. This is the machlokas between Rav Meir and Rabbanan regarding erch. This is not. Hamarich pachos mi ben chodesh. A person points to a 20-day-old child, less than 30 days. The Torah doesn't discuss something less than 30 days. So what does he have to give? Rav Meir Omer noisen damov. Well, he's worth something. So you give whatever his value is. Chachamim oimrim lo amar klum. Now, if this kesef has kedusha, so according to Chachamim it doesn't. But if it has kedusha, so you can't use that money to be makadosh an isha. If you give that money to an isha, and in retrospect, the Zaken Mamre paskin that it was hegdish, the woman is not miskadesh. Versus if she is miskadesh, and someone else sleeps with her, she's an eshes ish, which can give the person koris. So there we see how the Zaken Mamre paskins will make a difference regarding koris. Hacharemim beplukti Rabbi Yehuda ben Besev Rabbanan. This has to do with the machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan. This is not. Rabbi Yehuda ben Besev Oimer, stam charamin leberek abayis. If a person didn't designate where his cherem is to go to, it went for temple upkeep. Shenemar, kol cherem kodesh kodeshim ul Hashem. V'chachamim amrim stam charamin lekoyin. It was actually a gift to the kohen. Shenemar, kistei acherem la kohen tiyeh achuzaso. Well, im kei batam adon kodesh kodeshim ul Hashem shechol kodesh kodeshim v'kodesh kolim. That even if you have hegdish in your assets and you're machrim it, you can be machrim it, and you give its value to hegdish. So if the cherem, it depends whether it's holy or not holy, then whether you can use that money to be miskadosh an isha. If it's not holy, you can use it. If it's holy, it will not be miskadosh this woman and will make an afkamina whether she's an eshes isha or not. Hegdeshos, beplukti Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Rabbanan, the Tanya. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov afilu tzinor shel hegdish tzrichas rab ne'aron leftosa. If something is invested in kedusha, you can redeem the kedusha. You have to pay an extra 20%, and it goes lechulin. But it has to be done in a bezdin. Even a small fork, says Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, needs a bezdin of 10 to redeem it. According to the Chachamim, you only need a bezdin of 3. And of course, whether it is redeemed or not redeemed will depend whether the money that you get can be used to be maskadish a woman or not. Rivos, zeashka soita rivos egla v'teres mitzora. When a husband wants to bring his wife because he suspects her of adultery, so she drinks the sota waters. Egla rufa is when a corpse is found between towns, so they do a whole ceremony with a calf. And taras mitzora. Ashkot sota beplukti Rabbi Yeshua. It's not. Hamekaneli ishto. You warn your wife not to sequester herself with a certain man. The warning for her not to sequester with Chaim Yankel has to be in front of 280. But then when he actually sees them go into the room, we don't know what goes on in that room. That's why it's a doubt. And you have to drink the sota waters to figure out what's going on. But the testimony of them going into a room alone can be done either with one aide or even himself. Rabbi Yeshua disagrees. Rabbi Yeshua, I mean, Makan al Pishnaim, Umashka al Pishnaim. The warning has to be with two Eidim, and the witnessing of them going into a room together has to be done in front of two. Now, if she goes through the process, she gets her ksuba. If not, she doesn't get her ksuba. So whether we can use this money of ksuba, whether it's considered stolen, again, it may have to do with being miskadish a woman. Arifas egla, how does this lead to chorus? Beplukted Rav Eliezer Rabbi Akiva. It's not. May I and Ayumodadi. Where did they measure the corpse? To the city. Rav Eliezer Omer metiburo, from his belly button. Rabbi Akiva Omer mechotmo, from his nose. Rav Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer mimakim shenasa chalal mitzavari, where he was killed from his neck. Now, if all of these things don't fit, the egg does not become miskadish. And then a man could give the calf to a woman for kiddushin if it's chulin. And if it's not, she might either be or not be an Eishes Ish. Taharas mitzvah, but plukta Rabbi Shrim Rabbanan. This is not. Part of the purification of mitzvah, you have to take the dam and put it on the thumb and the big toe of the coin. Of the mitzvah. Ein lo boen yad, or boen, let's say he doesn't have a thumb or a big toe, was amputated, or ozen yimai, he doesn't have a right ear. Ein lo tahara oilamis, he can never become tahar, because you can't actuate what the Torah says you have to do. That, in fact, is how we paskin. You put it on the stump. If the big toe was amputated, you put it where it was. The yotzin, it works. Reb Shimon Nois not small. You put it on the left thumb. Now, whether he could go into the Beis HaMikdash, Tohor or Tomei, right? If you walk into the Beis HaMikdash, Tomei, you're chayv kores. Uvisharecha zeleket shicha upeya. Leket is non shnei shibolin. Let's say the farmer left 2 stalks that were not cut, and the ani finds it leket. He can take it. If he sees shlosha, ain't a leket. Then the balabais gets it. Shikha shnei unrim. These are actually stalks of wheat that were collected, and they left 2. That's shikha, and the aniyim can get it. Shloisha, any 3 or more, ain't a shikha. Belongs to Ba'abais. V'al beishamay oimim sholosh la'ani v'arbe l'bal. That it's not 2, but it's 3 to the ani and 4 to the Ba'abais. So if the ani took the 3rd, so this is according to Beis Hillel, he's a goslin. According to Beis Shammai, he allows it. But according to Beis Hillel, if he gave that money or the value of that wheat to a woman for kiddushin, it might not be kiddushin. According to Beis Shammai, it is kiddushin. So if someone sleeps with her, you get kores. Or not. Peah is beplukta Rabbi Shlomo Rabbanan, leaving the corner of the field. Mitzvah's peah is lahafrish min hakamo. You have to leave the wheat standing. Lo hifrish min hakamo, yafrish min ha'umrim, from the cut sheaves. Lo hifrish min ha'umrim, yafrish min ha'kriyat shelo mirchu. They had piled up the wheat in like a haystack, and they didn't smooth it out yet. Mirchu meiser. So first you give meiser, then the nois and low you give to the oni the peya. Even you can go do it and down into the dough. But according to Chachamim, once you grind the wheat, you can't give pay anymore. So whether this is considered his asset, because the peya belongs to the oni, and whether it belongs to him or not, and he uses that to give kiddushin to a woman will depend on kares or not. Okay. Then shlosha botei dinin. We said there were three different Batei Din. Amr Rav Kana. Hu Amr Mepi Shmua. If the Zaken says, I heard it from my Rebbe, V'hein Amr Mepi Shmua, Eno Nerag. So he's not killed. You're allowed to have a different Masorah. Hu Omer Kachu Beinai. But he uses logic. V'hein Omrim Kachu Beinenu. They say this is our logic. Is also not a reason to kill the Zaken Mamre. Eno Nerag. You're allowed to have a dispute regarding logic. Kol Shekain Hu Omrim Mepi Shmua V'hein Omrim Kachu Beinenu. Eno Nerag. Certainly, if he has a Masorah from his Rebbe, and they don't, he's certainly not killed. So when is he killed? Ad sheyomer kachul be'enai. He says, through logic, this is the way I think the halacha should be. Ve'hein oimer pi shmua. But they received it from Masorah. Then you kill him. Teda. Shari lo hargos akavya b'mahalala. Akavya b'mahalala apparently was a zakin mamre. They didn't kill him. Because he said it from his Rebbeim. Rav Lezer Omer, that's Rav Kahana. But Rav Lezer, afilu Omer mepi Shmua, even if the Zakin says, I heard it from my Rebbeim. Ve'ein Omrim kachu beinenu. And the Sanhedrin votes, and they say, this is our logic, Nerag. Kidei shlo yirbu machlokes b'Yisrael. So we shouldn't have machlokes. We paskin that way, like Rabbi Lozer, not like Rab Kana. Vim toimar, v'imalo hargos akavya b'malal. So why they didn't kill Akavya? If we just said that he heard it in Shmo, they heard it from logic, so they should have killed him. However, like we said in the Mishnah, the Zakin is only killed if he goes home and says, this is the way you should act, halach l'maisa. If he's just talking theoretically about the halacha, but he's not posking, this is the way you should do it, he's not put to death. It's only if he poskins, this is the way you should carry out whatever he has to carry out, then he's put to death. So Rav Akavya didn't tell them to carry it out. Tanah. Kach darashti v'kach darsha chaverei. This is how darshan. This is how they darshan. Kach limadati v'kach limdu chaverei. This is how they learn. This is how I learn. Now, my lab who amar b'piyah shmo v'emar min kachu beinenu, and it leads to a zaken mamre. And isn't it mipiyah? So it's support to Rav Elazar. Lo, the case is hu omer kachu bein avem omer mipiyah shmua, which we know certainly would be a zaken mamre. Toshma. Lam Rav Yushia. Shlosha dvorim sakli ze'erim anshe Yerushalayim. Three things was told to me by the people of Yerushalayim. A husband who warned his wife not to go into a room alone with such and such person. And then he's mochal al kinu. He's mochal. He says, I'm not worried anymore. Kinu mochal. The warning about the sequestration goes away. Ben Sora umar shratzu avivim limcholo. The gluttonous son. If the parents want to be moichel lo. They have the right. Zakin mami sherotzu beis din limcholo, moichlin lo. If the Sanhedrin is moichel, the zakin mamre, they can be moichel. However,
Lo mochaloim lo.
zakin mami sherotzu beis din limcholo, moichlin lo.
I have a different gisa.
Because it says al shloisha
I have a different.
dvorim.
I have
Kinu
a-
mochel. The moichlin lo. Zakin mami sherotzu beis din limcholo, moichlin lo. You say you have loy moichlin lo?
Yeah.
Let me see. One second.
Sorry to hold you up, guys.
How do you say?
I'm using the Steinsaltz.
And
He has more. Let me look at the Vilna Shas. 1 second. Let me look at my Chassan Shas. 1 second. Hey Ches Omid Beis.
I have this from Sparia.
Zokin Mami Shirotsu Beis Din Lam Cholamachlin Lo.
I don't know. Sparia says lo mochlin lo. I don't know why.
It's a typo.
I don't think so. Otherwise, what would be the whole point of telling you can be moichel a glatness son, but you can be? Why would you? Or you also
Because there's Sachli Shloisha Dvorim.
okay?
Three things.
I don't.
Walsh is Moichel on the Kinui. The Ben Sor is Moichel on that, and then Zokin Mami is Moichel on that.
Okay, I hear, but I'm just telling you what Sparia says. I don't know what gears are they using on Sparia, but that's what they're using.
The regular Shas says Moichlin, and the Steinsaltz says Moichlin. The Steinsaltz has the as you know, because he brings in all the censorship, he has the most authoritative nusach. However, what you might be referring to is Kishabati Etzel Chaverei Shebedoro. Al Shnaim Hoduli Al Zakin Mamri Lo Yeduli. It means they agreed in the first two, but they didn't agree about the Zakin memory. Kadesh Lo Yibur Machlokas B'Yisrael. So Tiyufta, it's a kasha on Rav Kahana, and it aufstells Rabbi Lozer. So that's the Mahalik of the Gemara. Now, Halach Lamaisa, they're not permitted to Moichel, the Zakin Mamre, but you can see the girsa of the initial Gemara is certainly Moichlin Lo, because then when he went down to south, they didn't agree. Lo Hoidulu on the third one. It only makes sense if the first girsa was Moichlin Lo. So, okay. Tanya. On Rabbi Yossi. Mitchila lo hayu marbi machlekes Yisrael. There was no machlekes initially. Why? There's a Sanhedrin of 71 dayanim in the Beis Hamikdash, and Shnei Bati Dinim shel Esrim u'Shlosha. Echad Yoshev al Pesach HaRabayis, ve'echad Yoshev al Pesach HaZar. Two other courts of 23. One was at the opening of the Azara. One was at the opening of the Harabais. And then Shar Bati Dinim shel Esrim u'Shlosha Yoshev b'chol Eretz Yisrael. Every town in Israel had a Beis Din of 23. Tveria, Tzfat, Shechem, Hebron, wherever Jews lived, Shomron, wherever Jews lived, they had a Beis Din of 23. Hutzra Chadover Lishol, a Shaila came up. Shoyalim Beis Din Shebe'irim, they went to the Beis Din of that city. Im Shamu, if they had heard what the halacha was, Amrlen, so they would give the answer. Im Lav, maybe there was a bigger Beis Din or more choshev dik Beis Din in a nearby town, they would go to that Beis Din first. Im Shamu Amrlen. If they heard, they would give the psak. Im Lav, shal Pesach Harabais. Now they start coming to the Supreme Courts, right? They first went to the Beis Din that was the opening of Harabais. Im Shamu, if they had heard what the halacha was, Amrlem. Im Lav Boin Lezeh Shal Pesach Hazor. They went to the Beis Din of 23 at the opening of the Hazor. Oimer, Kach Darashti v'Kach Darshu Chaverei. He says, we have a difference. I darshan this way, my friends darshan that. Kach limadati v'Kach limdu Chaverei. Im Shamu Amrlehem. If they knew the answer, they would say, Vim Lav, Elu v'Elu, everybody comes. All the people who were, all the Beis Din, Bon Lishkas Hagozis. Shasham Yoshvin, Mitomit Shashach, Ratomit Shavin Arbai. The Lishkas Hagozis was open for business between the time that they were makriv of the Tomid of the morning and the time that they were makriv of the Tomid of the afternoon. Shabbos is v'yamim tovim yoshim bechil. Shabbos and Yontif, they were not in the Lishkas HaGozis. They were in the outside. It was like a patio with columns. That's the chil. Nish'ala she'ela bifneim. The question was discussed. Im shamu, if they had heard mipia shmua, the halacha amrulem. V'im lav oimdim lemit. Let's say they hadn't heard what a mipia shmua, mipi kabbalah. So now they have to have a discussion. And each party tries to bring its argument, and then they vote. Oimdim laminyan. Rabu amatamim, if there were 36 to 35 saying Tomei, Timu. Rabu amatarim, if there were more people voting to Tor, Tiar. So this is why Rabbi Yossi says, Mitchila lo hayu marbi machlokes b'Yisrael. There was more machlokes because we could resolve every issue using this methodology. However, Mishirabu Tamidei Shammai v'Hillel shloshim shekol tzorchan, there were Talmidim of Shammai and Hillel that didn't study in yeshiva well enough. They were lacking. So Rabu Machlokes b'Yisrael. So that's when they start having, well, Beis Shammai holds this way, Beis Hillel holds this way. Nas is Turkish State Torahs. Now, Misham, from the Lishkas HaGozis, they would write the halacha, koisvin v'shochin b'chol makomis. They would send word to all the Beis Dinim. Kol mishu chacham u'shval berech, somebody who's wise and an onav, v'das abrios nochemenu, and people like him. Yehi dayan be'iro, he should be a judge in that city. Misham, malin osol arabais. If he was a very good judge, and there was a vacancy on the Beis Din at the opening of the Arabais, they would bring him to that place. And then if the same thing happened in the Beis Din of the Azara, there was a vacancy, they would elevate the best from there to the Lazara. And Misham, Liskas Agozis. That's how all these spots were filled. Sholchu Misa. Ezer ben Olam Haba, who is a person who gets Olam Haba? An v'son Shval Berach, a modest person. Shayef Ayel, Shayef nothing. He bends when he comes in, he bends when he goes out. Goris Baraisa Tadir, he's studying Torah all the time. It's not, he's not machzik it as a toiva for himself that he's learning so much. Yavu Rabbanan a name Rav Ula Barabba. The rabbis put their eye on Ula Barabba, that these milas were fulfilled in this Ula Barabba. Chazer li'iro Mishana. If he repeated his limud after he went through this process, but he didn't instruct them to act that way, he's ein chayiv until he paskins to do it. Torah Banan. Ein chayiv ad sheyaseh k'hoi roso. He himself has to do like his psak. Or he tells other people and they do it. So the Gemara says like this. So I understand he tells them what to do and the other people do it. Mikor lav barkatolahu, basta barkatolahu. He wasn't a barkatolah before. He wasn't somebody who was going to get the death penalty, now he's going to get it. But what is this thing, sheyasa, that he has to do his own thing? If he did it, he's going to be put to death because he did something that brings kores. Right? Mikor nami barkatal. Who needs now the bay that he's over and aver zakimam to be killed again? I understand, for example, if the psak was by eating chelev or dam, there you don't get misa bidei adam. You just get kores. Now he ruled against the Bezdin. Bahashta bar ketelu, it makes a difference. He's going to be put to death. Elahecha de oiru. B'chayvi misos based him. But if he paskin on something that the Sanhedrin doesn't agree with, and he did it himself, and he's chayv misa, mikoinami bar ketelu. Well, now that he's a zakin mamri going against the Bezdin, he's going to be put to death anyways. So the Gemara says, no, there's a difference. Mikor by Asra. Normally, before you kill somebody, if he acts, right, you have to give him warning. Hashalor boy Asra. Here, because he went against Sanhedrin, he's adjudicated to death without the Asra. Then we ask Mesis, we've already learned, if you incite somebody to worship Avodah Zarah, the Lord boy Asra. There we learn you don't even need Asra. So Michael Amema, what's the difference by a Zakin Mamri, by a Mesis? So we say, Me'ikara I Omer Taima Makabin Minei. By a Mesis, if he gives a reason why you shouldn't listen to his Hasasa, we accept it. Hashta Yomer Taima Lo Makabin Minei. But now if he tries to give a reason, we don't accept it. And he's put to death regardless. Then the Mishnah says, there are certain things that are more stringent, rabbinic laws, than Beferish Torah laws. For example, Ha'omer ain't tefillin. K'dei lavar divrei Torah potter. Somebody, Zaken says there's no mitzvah of tefillin. You're potter from Zaken Mamre. We can't be cholik on the Torah. We know what the Torah is. Nobody listens to him. But the Chachamim explained how to do the mitzvah of tefillin. You need 4 batim, not 5. So if he says chamesh toitofos lo yiseva divrei sofrim, he's chayiv as a Zaken Mamre. Omar Zamar Rishia. Eino chayiv al davar sheikor medivrei Torah ferusha medivrei sofrim. The source has to be minat Torah, and the details from Sofrim. And yesh bo lahosif. And he adds on what was supposed to be done. And vim hosif korea. And by adding, it made it worse. Ve'ein lanu ela tefillin alibid Rabbi Yehuda. The only example we have is tefillin. According to Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda says a Zaken Mamre is not punished only on something that the Iker is Medivrei Torah, the Perusha Medivrei Sofrim. And tefillin normally needs 4 batim. He said 5. 5 is worse than 4, he's killed. However, the Gemara doesn't understand, what do you mean tefillin is the only command? What do you mean v'hayek alulav? The Ikar Medivrei Torah, it also, the Iker din is from Torah. Perusho is Medivrei Sofrim. How many minim you need, etc. Which minim? V'yesh bo lahosif. And if he adds a 5th min, v'moisif goreya, makes it worse. So why can't we do this instead as well as tefillin? The lulav of my sphere. What is he holding by lulav? Isvir lei lulav ein tzarch eged. There is a dispute whether you have to bind all the 4 minim of a lulav together. So if you hold that you don't have to bind them together, it's not a mitzvah Torah to tie them together. So when you add a 5th min to the 4, you haven't. It's like holding a book and the 4 minim. So that doesn't ruin it. Now, if you hold that you need to tie it all together, so garu v'oimidhu. So it's not when you tie them all together with the 5, it's not a lulav. It's not like you had a lulav and he was added to it and made it worse. You didn't do anything. So then the Gemara says, Vayakid Sitzis, the Karma Divrei Torah, the sources in the Torah, Perusha Divrei Sofrim, how many threads, how many knots, the Yesh bo lahosif, the Moisif Korea. We have a certain amount. If you add it, it's bad. Gemara says no. Bitzitzis my svirlon. E svirlon keshra elyon is lav deraisa. If the top knot at the corner is not deraisa, and from Torah you just have to have them hanging there without a knot. So hai lechudikai, hai lechudikai. So the 8 strings sit there, and the 9th string are sit there, and it's not like they're connected, and there's no ikuv. Vice versa, isviralon, the kesher elyon deraisa garuv oimed. It's like the same thing we said about lulav. It's not, you don't have sisters at all. We'll stop here. Okay, very good.
Shkoyach.
George, thank you
Sure.
very much for the beautiful,
Not needed. Thank
Beautiful.
you.
beautiful. Okay, tomorrow, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you.
7 o'clock tomorrow. Go ahead.
Ernie, that still
Right.
doesn't get you off from us going out to dinner.
Going. We're going. We're going soon.
Okay, have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.